Hey love bug, it's me, Emma Upton, clarity alchemist, resistance evaporator, magic map maker, and welcome to Let's Build the Real Thing. This is the podcast where you remember where you put the map to your work, and you do it in a way that feels like an adventure, not a checklist, not a job title, a wild, sacred calling that feels like a boiling hot bath, a scalding brew, and your fave bickies. I built this in the messiest season of my life. Twin babies, full-time teaching, husband away every week, and a brain that never let me rest. No spare time, no sabbatical, just a deep pull that I couldn't ignore anymore. So I followed it. I created the Be Anxiety Free Find formula from scratch, turned it into a global program, published a book, and left teaching in 2021 to do this full time. Now, I help powerful women bring their work to life, the thing they can't stop thinking about. We tap your magic so the map becomes real, and then we build it together. Let's build the real thing. I really hope today's episode is going to be super helpful if you know that there is a level to you, to your work, to the things that you're here to do, and it feels like, when is it enough? What do I need to do? You want my blood? What do I need to do to bring this into the world in a way that feels amazing for me as well, not just have it change in everybody else's lives and be wonderful for them, like for me too. To get to that next iteration of the work that you're here to do, because you know you're here to serve. You know you only feel alive when you're in service, because that's the whole point of being a human. But I want to shine light and bring clarity, because that's what we're all looking for. Like, make it make sense for me. And we're taught to look in the places that are not helpful. That's level 1 of awakening. We are literally shepherded and steered towards the places where we're just made to feel like shit. All the way up to the 4th level of awakening, where we're like, holy moly, okay, I know what I'm here to do. I know how I'm here to do it. I know what is enough, because I'm doing the things because it feels easy and it feels like flow and it's all coming into fruition. So I'm going to break down the 4 levels of awakening and exactly how the next level of your work is born, and why it's not meant to be as chill as the trio of terror are terrorizing you into believing it is. You have a brain, I have a brain that is set to want ease and chill and not ruffle feathers and not make a fuss, and your work can never be birthed like that. But it isn't just do it. It isn't just, oh well, you're gonna ruffle feathers, so what? Because that feels, well, I don't know about you, but I just won't. I just won't do it. So this is the understanding that underpins and underlies everything. This is actually taken out of one of the playbooks that I lean upon more often than I realise. So I'm taking you through every detail of it. Now, before we dive in, go listen to the What Am I Missing free meditation. It's on my podcast. It's the podcast that comes before this. So go back and listen to that. Get yourself in the space where you're actually going to receive the answers. I'm not going to give more context than that, but go listen to the podcast and realize how 99% of the work that you're doing around your work is just the trio of terror in a different disguise. And so listen to that meditation and then come into this through that portal and then explore it and then get the answers and then get the reflections. And if you want the actual guide, the playbook of the 4 levels of awakening, I have it as a paper copy. So just let me know over at More Than This by Emma Upton and I will send it over to you. No probs. So stage 1. The first stage of awakening. There are 4 and this is the first one, the illusion of knowing. I spent my first 30 years in this. So that notion of I know what I know what I like, I know how I want it to go, I know what it should look like, and even if it secretly makes me feel like a piece of poop on toast, I'm willing to tolerate that because this knowing feels safe. What is familiar gives the illusion of safety. But in stage 1, you get to that phase of like, oh, anything that I come up against, any kind of friction, anything that brings disturbance to my way of operating and my way of looking at it, feels like I'd rather have the plague, thanks. If you know you're in phase 1, and I knew I was in stage 1, and you've probably passed stage 1. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, maybe you find yourself, but I know there are still different iterations of my world where all of a sudden it comes up being like, oh, I just want this to disappear. Oh no. I just want this discomfort to go. I don't want this problem. I just want this to go. So don't think you'll ever pass any of the stages, because there are different paradigms in all of this. So if you're praying for the discomfort to go away, and you just want the calm, the clear, the obvious, the chill answer to fall into your lap, and everything else just to manifest itself into place so you get the results that the Tree of Terror thinks are yours, then we're in for a rough ride. When I find myself there, I'm like, oh no. This place is where we are taken advantage of, where we have our powers stripped from us, because we are waiting to be rescued. We are waiting for somebody, and there are so many people out there, systems and coaches and politicians and industries, that are just preying on that stage 1 part of the awakening, saying, oh, I can recognize your pain. I know how you're feeling. And if you do this simple, easy thing, I'm going to take that away. And then we hope and we wish and we pray that it was just that easy. And we make the investments, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's energy, whether it's all three, usually all three. And then we're feeling disillusioned because it's like, oh, and now I've taken action towards a thing and I don't feel any clearer. You're not going to. Because there is a part of all humans, me too, that so badly wants to believe that we are the problem and they have the answer. And if we could just be available enough to that answer, it would fix us. We could, and we do. And so many humans stay stuck in this stage 1 for forever. You might have something that is centered around the thing that you know you want to make different. You might recognize as I'm saying this out loud and you're willing to sit here in this fire with me. If that is you, I love you. Saying, oh man, that is definitely me. And it might be the next level of your business. It might be the relationship. It might be the job and the position that you've got. It might be your children and their behaviors and some weird shit that they're going through because kids are weird. It might be that you're just hoping and waiting for it to pass, or for something to be a bit different or a bit easier to present itself. The core pattern here is, am I avoiding friction? Am I hoping and waiting for this discomfort to just disappear and pass and go away forever? Am I hoping someone somewhere knows better than me and they're just going to hand me what to do on a plate? If you can identify with that, that's stage 1. Maybe you have recognized, and you will have recognized, where you found yourself in stage 1s. Now, stage 2 is where you recognize and realize, holy moly, I'm literally just pimping myself out, hoping they will deliver the answer. Stage 2 is what I call the humbling, and it annoys the funk out of you. Because there's this realization, oh my God, I don't know as much as I wanted to have known. And it's horrible because the brain insists on familiar and safety and known being the answer. And all of a sudden, the only way to get to your answer is by recognizing and making yourself vulnerable by saying, I don't know the answer. At this point, you start to realize, oh my God, the friction that I am so set on not creating. I want to make myself palatable and malleable, and I want to contort myself, and I want to people please to such a point that ain't working. And I can see that actually I'm my biggest problem. That is the problem. And it is humbling. But this is the entry point. If you can feel yourself in that, change is coming. Yes. In this space, you can start to feel the gap between what you want and where you are. And you start to recognize and realize, well, that's not going to be conceivable if I keep just outsourcing myself and waiting for something to change and hoping it kind of disappears. That more that I know is in my heart and my soul and on my vision board, that doesn't get to come into fruition from this space. The first time you admit this around the thing that you want to change, it is like the start of the alchemy process. it's also being very brutal and humbling to being like, well, I don't know what this looks like, so all I know is what's gone before. I'm open to receive. That's one of my favorite lines here. I'm open to receive. Help me to receive. I promise to do my part. I will do it differently. This is the beginning of the real movement, and you can identify if you're in this because you're in this frustrated truth telling, and you start to realize that actually creating friction in your world isn't the enemy that you have feared it is. It's actually the way forward, which leads you to stage 3, the fire starter era. And I was obsessed with fires as a kid, and I was terrified away from them. My mom still says now, God, I thought you'd burn the house down. Psycho. I mean, she did a really good job of terrifying me into not touching fire ever again. Now I bloody love it. Entering the fire starter era, you start choosing friction. You start feeling where you want to fall back into those people-pleasing tendencies, the malleable, the moving yourself and orchestrating life in the way that you think it should go. And you start seeing it and you're like, oh my God, I'm choosing what went before. Of course my more can't land for me. Of course I can't see my map. I don't have my clarity. Of course I'm outsourcing it because I believe somebody else knows the answer. Of course I'm falling back into these habits. So you start saying yes. And you start saying no, and you start saying fuck no, and you start saying I'm saying no, and there's no explanation behind it. It just is for me. You stir the pot, and you start to feel anger and rage, and you start to realize these emotions were just always inside you. You just were never allowed to express them. And you start to reclaim a part of yourself in a way that you can't consciously comprehend like I'm trying to here, but until you experience it in the live moment of it, there are no words. It is a feeling of this. Fuck yeah. And you start to set fires. But at this point, most often, there isn't a cauldron to catch the gold. You're in the crucible. You're burning up those base metals. You're meant to be alchemizing them into gold. And you're recognizing, God, there was no fire. All this lead and heavy metals that I've been dragging around with me have just been grounding me. This ain't it. And all of a sudden you start burning up the crucible and it starts getting hot and you're like, fuck yeah, I can burn it all down. And you say yes and you say no like your life depends on it, and you start speaking your mind and you tell your dad and you tell your partner and you tell the entire internet. And you start to become the friction queen. I see these people online. I'm like, yes, queen, let's go. Tell them you've turned into the fire starter. But the challenge in this third phase is you're not the alchemist yet. And I don't know if you can skip this phase. If you're recognizing yourself and it being like, oh, I am that. Like, I am divorced and I don't know what to do. Like, I left him. I became such a fire starter. I've said no fucking more. I am done with your shit. I'm actually out of here, and you have made such fires. You've left the job that you love, that actually was really cool, that you were meant to be in it, starting your fires, but you were meant to be the alchemist, not burning it all down. The smoke and the burn, and combined with your trio of terror inside your brain, which is that conscious part that is always looking for safety and familiar, convinces you that you're basically Jesus resurrected. Like, have you seen, what's his name? Russell Brand. He thinks, like, I haven't seen him for a while on the internet because I was like, holy shit, you're in stage 3, mate. He's convinced himself he's Jesus born again. Like, we've all been there at this point where you have this clarity and this fire and you're like, this is my truth. I'm speaking it. And you think the problem is, well, they just don't get it. Fuck him. Fuck her. Like, they just don't get it. I'm here to speak my truth. You think, and at this point, it is very simple to confuse friction for enlightenment. But this bit is the burn before the balm. It's the awakening before true enlightenment. It's just an insight into what is to come. I find myself here more often than I want. I remember sitting down with a monk once, and I thought I knew so much. I was in stage 3. I was like a year into my journey probably. And I couldn't wait to go and see this guy that everybody's talking about. I'm like, I'm going to blow his mind. He's going to be like, you don't need me. Like, teach me, Emma. And I sat down with him and I was humbled as fuck. So I was like, oh my God. He must have seen right through me and just sat me on my arse. Like, sit down, little girl. Here's some actual fucking wisdom. Please and thank you. So you can recognize yourself in the kindest. Don't let Frances in here because she's a bitch and she's a bitch to you and she's not helpful. It's this beautiful awareness of like, okay, I am operating here right now. Cool. How do I get to stage 4 then, please and thank you? So you're here. If you can start to see, you've got to have such awareness to be here and actually see this. So if you're like, nah, it's not me, you're probably really hard in this and we need to do some work deeper together. But some of the core patterns to look out for is if you are speaking your truth and it has an energy of, I don't care who I burn, you need to hear it. The Tree of Terror might be convincing you that you're the oracle, that you're born again Jesus, that you're the Buddha reincarnate. Florence Nightingale is just living through you. I don't know. I don't know who your biggest person is, but the Tree of Terror somehow convinced you that you're a big deal and that everyone else just doesn't get it, and you just keep, the trio just keep putting it out there. Be gentle with you if you're starting to recognize that. And if you're like, oh, no, I am actually Jesus, please. Please look deeper into stage 4 and ask me for the playbook and ask me for the prompts, the journal prompts, and see some clarity there. I have to go back to these more often than I would like to admit. And then stage 4 is the actual crucible. So you've got the fire. You're happy with the friction. So you created the fire, but all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, this fire is not made to destroy. It's to transmute. It's to transform. Not to burn it down, but to let the fire refine you. To burn away everything that isn't you. To speak your truth because it feels good for you. And I know so many of us who are doing this work know that we've got something to share with the world and we're here to be of service. But unless you can make that fire just for you to burn down everything that is not you, your message, your work, your mantras, anything that you put out into the world is always going to be diluted by the Tree of Terror, by you thinking that you're some kind of born again, super cool dude or dudette. This way, you're going to see the truth of your truth, because the friction isn't the goal. The heat is what we need. The internal heat that melts all that old metal, all the weight of everything that you've been carting around as you're trying to be in service to people, and very much being in service to people. You can be so bloody... I'm talking to people who want to be... who want to tap out of this lifetime and be like, couldn't have done it any better. Like that, who want the extraordinary results that most people who are still in stage 1, who just will eternally just want an answer. I'm talking to you. And at this point, the Tree of Terror are wrong on all counts. They want to do one of two extremes. They want all the fire, to burn it all down and burn anybody that comes anything close. Or they want to avoid the fire entirely. But your work can't live in either extreme. Now you know you are awakening to stage 4 when you have discernment. You can see yourself in these patterns. You can name, oh, this is stage 1, this is stage 2, this is stage 3, this is stage... Yes, thank you. Let me sit here for a microsecond before I'm dragged back into another stage. But I can see it. I've got the discernment to be able to identify. You can see the alchemy that's happening underneath. Holy smokes. That is a karmic cycle. That is a metal, a base metal that I'm actually being invited to bring into the crucible and put into my fire to allow the gold to float to the top. I'm being called to alchemize this. And yes, I want to avoid it because I'm human and I will never not want to avoid it. I don't know if that phase comes, if you can be so enlightened like you love just causing problems in your own life and everybody else's. I don't think you do. But you can see it's totally necessary. And you're willing to create the spark and cause the friction, to create the fire, but the internal fire that doesn't have to burn anybody else, that you can speak your truth without hurting anybody else. Some people like being offended and will get hurt, of course, but in the main. And then what is huge in this is stillness. Stillness and ease. And in this stillness and in this ease, you can see. You are clear. You stop reacting. You start listening, and you allow the process of alchemy to work. This is not about phase 4 is good, stage 1 is bad. This is just being able to heighten your awareness to, there's 4 stages to awakening. And I know if I'm here to deliver my work to the world, I need to be the most awake human being that I know. How do I do that? I identify where I'm falling into which of the stages, and then I course correct. Am I being invited to friction? Am I being invited to see that I am not the all-knowing oracle that I believe myself to be about this? Is it time to humble the funk out of myself? What is it that you're being asked to do? Are you in state? Take each thing as a thing comes up and you're like, this is my answer right now, because you know it. You're intuitive, you're awake, you're aware. There's the thing right now. Are you in stage 1, avoiding the friction? Are you in stage 2, feeling the friction? Are you in stage 3, burning everything down? Are you in stage 4, in the crucible, ready to transmute it all? Because this is the real deal. The moment you brush against stage 4, something new starts to stir. The next iteration, the next level of the thing that you're here to deliver to yourself, to the world, to change your life and everybody's life that you touch, is in a whisper, in a knowing, in an ache. That ache is your work trying to name itself. And if you're feeling that rise right now, and you want to go deeper into this, the 4 Levels of Awakening Playbook is a free resource that I've put together to coincide with some of the messages I'm putting on Instagram and in the podcast. So if you would like that free resource, then let me know at More Than This by Emma Upton over on Insta, and I will send it over to you. I hope this has been helpful. Hit me up with where you're at. What stage are you in? And what are you doing about it? These are my favourite conversations. I will speak to you super soon. Much love. So that's us for today. If your soul's whispering, this is it, listen, you're not circling this for no reason. The map is real. The magic is yours. The adventure, it's already underway. You feel it. Tell me what sparked. I'm always on Insta for the big, wild, weird, brilliant conversations. And if you've got a friend who needs this fire too, please share the gold. And remember, your work isn't something you force. It's something you find by remembering what was always yours. I'll speak to you soon. Much love.